I'm good. I'm, happy weekend. We're here. We made it.
Yeah. Finally. All right, let's give this a check here. So, oh, you were one of the last of the old coaching forums. We're going through so much like flux right now with the forums and stuff, and then transitioning to the website, and then actually we've got something else because I don't think the forum thing I'm doing with the website has worked well at all. So you're like one of the final like last few people that are still on the previous forum. Okay, so let's start with this. What got you interested in coaching?
Ultimately, I've always had, a love for Overwatch since like 2016. I was kind of playing it casually, but last 2 years I started taking it pretty seriously. I found myself just kind of like gradually getting up in rank. Finally got to Masters 5, but I can definitely still see that disparity. So I'm trying to get to a level at some point where maybe I can potentially stream and then like get better and like play with some of like the higher level players.
Sure.
But I know that there's still so much to learn as well.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. You said 2016, but then Masters 5. So first off, congratulations. But let's talk about like what happened between then and now. What heroes did you main? What ranks did you hit in Overwatch 1? Did you take any breaks? What do you think of Overwatch 2? Just fill me in on all the details.
Yeah. So in 2016, like when I first started, it was more so just like for with friends, right? I like the whole idea of like the characters. I was more so like working, and I'm still like very much like working. So I'm not trying to be like maybe like this like crazy next level pro level player, but I'd like to like experience top 500 and get to that point. But kind of going further into it, like I was maybe playing like a little bit of Pharah, a little bit of Zenyatta, but I wasn't taking it seriously because I was still playing on console. Then 2017, I got a computer. And then I think 2020 is when I started playing seriously, competitively. And then I started like picking up Ana, really likes the character. And then I just like took her all the way. So I feel like my best character is my Ana, like I'm an Ana main, but still trying to like also get like a bit of a hang on like Kiriko a little bit. But I also find myself like when I'm playing against like heavy dive, it like gets me like I don't know what to do. Or sometimes, like, let's say if we're not playing the correct team comps, like, let's say if there's a wrecking ball going on doing its own thing, and I feel like the best character I'm with right now is Ana, then I'm kind of, like, stuck. So hopefully that kind of provides you a bit more insight. But honestly, like, if there's any other questions about that, like, I'm more than happy to answer it.
Sure. So you are in PC now, and you are high diamond, low masters on Ana specifically?
Ana, I play a little bit of BAP. Like I think of myself as a flex support, but my best character by far is Ana.
Okay, perfect. Ana's great. Ana is my second favorite hero in the entirety of the game. So in fact, I loved Ana so much I sacrificed like 550 SR, like 600 SR, because like this is like when I was like a main tank main. I played Zenyatta, and I'm like, I kind of want to play Ana Zen, you know. So I dropped it, and I was like low masters. I plummeted all the way to like high plat because I was horrible at Ana. But then I eventually worked my way back up, and whatever. So Ana's amazing. What do you enjoy about Ana?
Honestly, just how much like decision making, how hard of a character she was. A little bit of like a background. I used to play Street Fighter 4 pretty competitively as well. I would go to some tournaments.
Oh, cool.
And one of the characters I played was Viper, and she was very like mechanically demanding with like her execution and combos. And Ana kind of reminded me of that in a sense where it's like she's fairly demanding. You have to keep your brain on. Hitting those trick shots, like getting those good nanos, the dopamine rush is there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm the same way. That when I literally played Ana Zen because they're mechanically demanding and also hard. And I had no background in first-person shooters, so it was like, I'm gonna do this though. I don't care. I'm gonna do this. So I absolutely 100% relate with that mentality. And I'm really so. Here's an interesting thing in your form. So you brought up how you struggled sometimes in dive, like trying to keep yourself up, But then you also say in the form you struggle with dealing with snipers. I find it hard to get value without getting your head dinked. Elaborate on that point a little bit, please.
Yeah, so I feel like right now, like if I'm playing against certain comps, like let's say if I'm playing up against like maybe a Cass or maybe I feel like there's certain characters, obviously when you get in higher elo, I want to be better at, and I feel like that will just like help me, like when I play Ana, I feel more confident in them, right? Because like I feel like if I'm going up against like a Hanzo, getting randomly headshotted, I know that I'm not bringing enough value in some of my team fights because I'm too afraid sometimes to like actually like peek.
Right.
Or like a Widow. But then also, like, let's say if there's like a Ball or like Genji or like a Winston and a Genji, I feel like that I'm spending most of the time playing Dead by Daylight than actually playing like, playing my game.
Yeah. Let me actually pull up. Let me pull up some Microsoft soft paint here, because what you describe is actually a very common phenomenon, which is like dealing with the extremes when playing, I guess, a hybrid hero. Because if you look at a hero like Ana, like, is she as fragile as Zenyatta? No. Does she like play as spammy as Zenyatta? Like, right? No. So she's not like a sniper character, right? Like a Zenyatta would struggle with snipers, but Ana's going to struggle more, right? Okay. And then if you ask yourself, is she a hero that, like, for example, if you're playing versus sniper compositions, you want to avoid peeking the sniper so you can go take flanks and do things like that, right? But then if you play versus a dive composition, you almost play like a sniper and you play further away. And then if you're playing, like I said, versus snipers, you play like almost like a flanker yourself. But then, like you said, it's like finding the times when that's the case, and then what on earth do you do if they're on Widowmaker and Tracer? Like, right? Like, like you can't flank, you can't play like a sniper. It's like, so it's all about like finding the dynamics, because here's the nice thing though, is like whenever they play Widowmaker and Tracer, for example, let's say worst case scenario, they're on like, I don't know, Wrecking Ball, Tracer, Widowmaker, right? Well, the thing you have to remember is that, for example, the Widowmaker can't be in two spots at once. So if there's one sight line she's controlling, you cannot peek this sight line. However, that usually isn't the only sight line in the game, right? I mean, unless we're talking like Circuit Royale, right? There's usually another sight line that you can play that's still far back enough to where you can see Wrecking Ball or Tracer coming from either flank. You kind of see what I'm saying? Now, so, and this is where like, this is why a hero like Ana is really difficult, is because you have to like, positioning is not just find a cover, find a corner, watch ML7's video and figure out like where's the best positions in the map. Although that can help, it's a lot more dynamic than that, right? So, okay, yeah, we'll definitely look at that. Do you know if the replay code, well, do you have a replay code for me? Okay, no, I see it right there. Does this replay code have something like dive or sniper matchups? Do you know?
Let me take a quick second to think on that one. Actually, I'm
I can look at it too. I'll check the end. You check the first half. How about that?
Perfect.
All right.
Let's see.
And you are Kinois?
Yeah, quinoa like the grain.
Nice. Okay. And I'm seeing Ryan, some Sojourn, I guess Sojourn definitely counts as a little bit of a sniper. They're on Tracer second round. And then there's a little bit of Brawl first round. Yeah, but there's some sniper Tracer. We can still talk about. There'll be plenty to talk about here. And there will be some things that are like globally helpful. Like we can talk about the concept of how you position versus that as well.
Perfect.
Okay, let's keep going through reform here. So goals here, long-term top 500, short-term being more consistent in Masters lobbies. Seems good. And then let's look at your training week. 10 minutes of aim trainer a day, then right into ranked. What aim trainer is it?
Sometimes a little bit of aerial aim trainer, but the other one that I use is what is it? Is it the one that's on a Havana where you can like actually like make the bots kind of like strafe left and right?
Yeah. I don't remember what it's called, but I know what you're talking about. Have you ever tried? This is like I'm spreading the gospel of ZHT. Check this one out. So I'm gonna give you the code, and I'm gonna pull it up because this one. So this is somebody shared this with me in a YouTube comment. Not even joking. So I was like, well, okay, I'll give it a shot. And I was like, oh, this looks cool. Well, I've the last day or so, I've like actually like pulled it up a few times, and I've give me a second to stream this here, and I've actually like toyed with it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is actually pretty decent. Like this is actually pretty good. So I'm a big fan of Tryhard Deathmatch as well. Are you familiar with Tryhard?
I've been told to try that out, but I haven't actually done it.
Yeah, definitely try it. It's phenomenal. So let me get you the audio here a little bit. Definitely try Tryhard. How do I change my hero here? Oh, I go press to. Oh, wow. So yeah. Anyway, this is kind of what we've got here, and then what you could do is I'll just leave it on this. Is you could use A and D to kind of change, go from left to right. Friendly bot count. Let's adjust that to 5 or 4. Enemy bot count. Let's adjust that to 5. Watch this. Player settings. You can set spawn distance, spawn point, whatever. You go to player settings here. Infinite ammo. Disable. I don't want infinite ammo. Immortality. No. Ability cooldown, no, just normal. Yeah, so then all this foolishness, right? And then we actually get into here. I want to change hero here. I'm gonna go to Ana, right? And then I go to start, and this is when it gets crazy. So that you're like, oh my gosh. So watch this. So I'm back in. And this is your aim trainer.
Kind of like making like
it's like a real fight. Yeah, it's just a real fight that never ends. Right?
Oh, this is sick.
Yeah, and the bots move really well. They act realistically, and you could change like You could change the cooldowns stuff. I like leaving my cooldown on real time because I want to like actually practice like dealing with cooldowns, you know?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you didn't peek. Okay, so but yeah, this one's great. Are you familiar with Vaxta?
No.
Vaxta's another one that's great. So that's one that I highly recommend. Another one is Vaxta, which is if you're like looking for something just more aim. I'll type this one here. This is a good one as well. My only problem with this one is it's just so boring, and there's never any threat. And so you go up here, you can change the bot movement to hard if you want. And this is what you got. And they don't kill you. They don't use any cooldowns really. And you just have infinite ammo. And this is what you do, basically right here. And they move, like, let's look at, they have a Genji's double jumping. Check this out. Right? You got the BAP jumping in the air. You'll have a Pharah flying in the sky sometime. And this one is similar to the Havana one, but I think it's a little bit better because the movement's a little bit more realistic in my opinion. It's programmed just a tiny bit better. But yeah, that one's fine. I think what you're doing with the warm-up is very reasonable. That the 10 minutes is fine. But what I would do is I would experiment with these 3 things that I typed in your chat because I think that they might be a little bit better or provide some variety. And you can mix it up too. You know, it might be a day to do some ZHT, maybe some tryhard, maybe some Vaxta. Do you know what tryhard FFA is? I assume you do. You just haven't tried it yet.
I assume that you can't use to my knowledge, you can't use tanks in that one.
Yeah, it's just basically deathmatch with 12 people. A lot of the tanks are in there, but they're just nerfed really hard. Okay. And then some cooldowns like Cassie's magnetic grenade is disabled, BAP's immortality field, and that's like instant respawn, and just over and over and over and over again. And a lot of times the nice thing about tryhard as well is that you get players that are just quite frankly better than you. Overwatch League players end up in there, contenders players. You have a lot of GM players as well, so it's like really good practice. And especially as like a flex support player, you're doing basically mostly Genji tracers. That's like amazing practice, right? And that's what I use. So I think all 3 of these codes have their uses. Okay, any questions about that?
No, so far I'm writing these things down too. So I have the 2 workshop codes that we have.
Yeah.
ZHTD8, Vaxta as well, like Tryhard Deathmatch.
Yeah.
I didn't know that like contenders and like OWL players are in there too, so that's actually really good to know.
Yeah, they're not in there all the time, but I definitely do see them frequently. Back when I used to play, and I was just in one the other day, and there was a couple of contenders players in it. So yeah, and I'm putting all this in your Discord DMs as well, so you can go back and check that afterwards. If you miss any notes. Yep. Let's look at your ranked here. So you write to comp. How long do you play ranked on the average day?
Man, I put in like a decent amount of hours. I'd say anywhere from like 3 to 4 hours.
Okay, sounds good. Are there any days where you play more, play less? Any days where you take days off?
I would say that I took a day off yesterday just because like I just recently got to Masters this season. I was like on and off with like Diamond a lot, so I took a day off yesterday. But yeah, typically I will probably take maybe a day or 2. It depends on like what's going on. Like if I'm hanging out with my girl throughout the weekend, I probably won't play too much. But typically after work, I'll just like get on my computer and just like maybe play for a couple hours. Okay,
sounds good. So like 5-6 days a week probably.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Are there any days where you play a lot more than 3 to 4? Or is it mostly usually around the same amount of time per day?
I would say it's around the same amount of time, but like let's say if it's a weekend day where like I am not on boyfriend duty, then I'll probably put in like easy 7, 8, 9 hours.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, I mean that's fine. I mean obviously we talk about like diminishing returns. 3 to 4 hours is like a great number for you to be able to consistently improve, and anything more than that generally is like we draw like an imaginary line, and where that line is depends on the person. But for most people, after 3 to 4 hours, the quality of the rank time drastically drops in terms of like how hard. Yeah, what might happen is there's 2 different types of people. There's people that really focus really hard for the first 3 to 4 hours. And then what happens is the quality drastically drops, okay? And that's what I've trained myself to do because I try and give it my all, you know? And then there's people that, most streamers are like this, right? And what they do is they will go like park the car, like cruise control right at the speed limit, you know what I'm saying? Like right about 80% effort, and they will be able to sit there for hours and hours and hours and hours and stay there. And what we actually want to do, and takes a little bit of like retraining, is we don't want that actually. Not if you're trying to improve as fast and as efficiently as you can, because the problem is if you're playing at 80-85% is you are improving, but you're probably not giving enough attention and enough effort to see improvements fast enough. It'd be like if you're paying half attention in math class, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna learn stuff, but you're just not gonna learn very quickly. However, if you are paying attention in math class, you're gonna learn a lot faster. That being said, your head's gonna start to hurt after an hour or so, right? And the same thing happens with Overwatch. Even if you're taking short breaks while you're in queue, like getting up, moving around, drinking water, after a few hours, you're gonna be gassed, especially if you're if this is after work or whatever. Like it's hard to go full out. So what you need to do, what I recommend anyway, is you need to try and give as much effort and as much focus in the first 2 to 3 hours, especially of your games, and to try and give focus onto what we're going to look at in a few minutes, which is what you need to do to practice. What are some goals that you need to have for yourself, right? We'll talk about positioning, I'm sure. We'll talk about cooldown usage. We'll talk about a lot of things, and we'll give you a handful of at least 2 or 3 things for you to work on. And what you'll do is you'll pick one of those things. You'll go into a game, and for those 2 to 3 hours, you're given everything you got to improve at that, to really practice that, to be thinking about that. And then after that, you're totally more than welcome to keep playing, right? But then at that point, you are just playing to just chill and have fun. You kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's like a very split difference between playing for fun and playing for practice. And so even on those days when you're playing like 7-8 hours, there's nothing wrong with playing for a long time and just chilling on the weekend. But what you might do is you might go, all right, I'm going to give the first 7-8 games, I'm going to go like balls to the wall, hard as I can. And then after that, I'm just going to chill. Like I could play ranked, I can play quick play, I could arcade, I could go off roll. It really doesn't matter. Just have fun, but just don't try and like have any expectations on yourself to even like win the game. Cause that's where like, have you ever like tilt queued when you're like tired and you're like, oh, I'm just on a loss streak, and you just keep queuing in, you keep losing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That is a classic. I'm tired and I'm still trying to force myself to focus, but I don't have the energy anymore. And what you do is you set yourself up for failure by playing that long and still trying to win. So I'm not saying don't play for long periods of time. Just when you do play for long periods of time, the goal is just to play for fun, not at all to play to win or playing to improve. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay. And that's like one of the most important things I think we'll probably talk about is like kind of segmenting that in your brain. It's about going harder earlier on and easier later on. It's like knowing what it looks like. Okay, so hero pool looks good. Sleep looks awesome. Love to see 8 hours. Let's keep looking here. Okay, last question before we actually get into the form, the play here.
Let's go for it.
What do you feel is holding you back? And you say aim, understanding, mentality. You check the boxes for me. Okay, break each one of those down for me, please.
So aim for sure. I want to get better at my aim. I think that I'm doing fairly decent now. I've been told my aim is okay. Mm-hmm. I have it currently at like a 3 point. My DPI is 800. My sensitivity typically is like 3.5. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's still a little bit slow. But then when I do it at 5, I feel like I'm zooming all over the place. So I'm trying to find. I feel like 3.5 is perfect right now. But I know that like let's say when I play a really good tracer and they're blinking all over the place, then it's like, okay, like my shots are not landing.
Let me think here. 8 and 3.5. So that's like 2,800, right? Yeah. So that should be okay. That's actually it's slightly higher than mine, and I that's slightly higher than a lot of Flux supports. That's I mean definitely on the lower end, but I mean some of the best Flux supports in the game have sensitivity like that. So you shouldn't have any issues. Like we're talking about Jonak had like half of that sensitivity, and obviously that guy had no problem dueling tracers as well. So what you might need to do is you'll need to obviously aggressive arm movement and things like that, but that's more of an adjustment that you'll learn to make rather than an adjustment you need to make with your sensitivity. I mean, if you have enough mouse pad, your sense is fine.
I definitely do. Okay, so
yeah. If you could do a 180 on your mouse pad, then you're probably fine. Okay. So that was mostly it with mechanics. That and you just need to practice more, probably.
Well, probably less at this point. Like I guess like one of the things is that I do sometimes put in like a lot of time, and like you were saying, like it easily like will diminish like the level of my or like the play of my games.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, also maybe like the warm up that we get you. Oh, here's another thing too as well. So we're talking about warm up for 10 minutes. If you ever feel like I'm going to work on my aim for a week, what you could do is you play a little bit less rank, but you spend 30 minutes every day in one of those codes that I gave you or one of those custom games. And that becomes less warm up and more aim training. What I would do is I would turn on like a podcast, and I would just chill. I would just chill and I would just grind. And I think with like the custom games, if that's all you're training is your mechanics, you can just rep it out a lot. But yeah, I mean, I think it's up to you. I think we'll see how good your mechanics are. But like you said, a little bit more intensity is definitely going to help. But I wouldn't worry too much about it. Okay, and the last two was understanding was the next one. Elaborate on that one for me.
Understanding the mentality. So did I put understanding mentality?
Yeah, understanding and then mentality. Yeah.
So understanding. So I guess like one of the things that comes to mind when I say that, because I'm trying to think about what I was like thinking about when I wrote that down.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Was when it comes to just like where certain players should be, right? I've played support for a long time. So like, to put it in perspective, even though I'm Masters 5 support, I'm like silver DPS, right? And I don't even play tank. So it's like trying to understand like what certain characters are trying to do at all times. I feel like to some degree, I have an idea just like playing the support role for so long and like seeing how people try to get their kills on me.
Yeah.
But obviously there's so much more I could possibly be learning.
Okay.
And then what was the last one?
Mentality.
Yeah, just trying to keep like a level head at all times. I think that like there are times where like, let's say for instance I'm like doing really well and I'm like hitting a peak and like I'm like really up there in rank. If I start like just like taking loss after loss and I'm like getting lower in rank, that does like tilt me a lot and I get frustrated. And I'm trying to learn how to not like be that guy in a sense.
Yeah.
But like obviously like I think that like a lot of that has to do with like what you were saying in terms of the longer I play, the more it diminishes my games. And then I like think of like, oh, like this tank player's not doing his job when I know like that's full of shit. Like I could be doing better.
Well, I mean, obviously, like there's two ways of looking at it. Like the way that you were breaking it down right there, which is either you are going to have a preventative mindset where you're going to do a better job knowing when you need to stop, so that when you do stop, those kind of bad situations never even happen. You can also prevent that sort of tilt by making sure that you're actually focusing on your own gameplay, which is easier said than done when you don't have a goal, which is what we're going to try and fix here. We're going to actually give you something to work on. And then the other thing is just reminding yourself that like it just doesn't matter like what your teammates are doing. You really need to, you're the only consistent and constant factor in each and every one of your games. So like focus on controlling that. Everybody deals with that. Everybody, I have lost streaks and I get frustrated, right? It happens to the best of us. So I wouldn't worry so much about it, so much as like taking steps whenever you can to try and prevent that kind of thing from happening. And then when it does happen, continuing to work at dealing with it, because I really do think that like learning how to deal with tilting and getting frustrated, things like that, I mean, you probably know it's a pretty good life skill to have, you know. So even if it's just a video game, there's something to learn from it. Okay, anything else you wanted to go over or discuss before we actually get into the review here?
Those are some things that I definitely want to kind of focus on. And then like I guess like, do you have like, because obviously this is something that down the line, you know, maybe if I'm doing this like maybe monthly or every other month, are you like still like doing this fairly consistently?
Like this coaching?
Yeah.
This will be something I'm consistently doing for a little while.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Okay. Let's nothing else?
No, that's it.
Let's do this then. Let's get this pulled up here. So Masters, Ana?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get my settings set up here. So you are now at the rank, and I think it's good to start talking about this at every rank, to be honest with you. But you are definitely at the rank where you do need to kind of pay attention to what you're running. So look at your comp, and as simply as you can, without overcomplicating it, what do you see with your comp?
We are definitely all over the place. We're running double main heals.
So what does that mean? That's a really important one for you, yeah, right? So what does that mean?
That means that, I mean, we definitely have high sustain.
What does high sustain really mean?
In terms of just like the healing output we'll be able to like provide for our team. Right. And then we obviously have immortality field as well. I could be using anti for obviously the enemy team, but like for us, just in case we need some burst healing.
Sure. Do you think that burst healing is going to be a problem with your composition?
Not at all.
Right. See, this is what happens when you have like the two main heal thing. My immediate response is I definitely need to like make sure that my tank is healthy. But if I don't find a way to leverage my utility because I have more availability elsewhere, that Mercy is just going to outvalue me. You know what I'm saying? She's just going to provide. So if I'm not like actively getting offensive antis or even like if I'm playing Baptiste here, if I'm not getting like actual offensive mouse 1 damage, you know, like playing Soldier 76 out here, then their second support, a Zenyatta, Mercy, Lucio, is just going to be able to provide more utility than I can. It's because if having more of a thing that you don't need more of is not going to help your team. You kind of see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay, especially when you're playing with an Orisa who has so much survivability just by herself. Okay, so that's the big one to me. Are there any other nano target? Like, let's just talk with nano because that's the other thing. I mean, obviously it's Genji, maybe Orisa. It's not that complicated, right? Okay. What about the enemy team? Simple as you can, because you're gonna have even less time to analyze the enemy comp. You can sit in your spawn room and think about your comp all day long if you want, but you got about 5 seconds. Look at the enemy comp, right? So what stands out to you really quick?
They have a pocketed Sojourn. They have a Moira that might just go into the back line and do her thing.
But but that's not super important, is it?
I guess not. No.
No, I mean she might. Okay, so then you will shoot her or run away from her. It's not like she's not a tracer, right? She's not a Widowmaker. Yeah. Damage boosted Sojourn is a big one for me, right? Is there anything else that's super crucial?
I would say the Torb that can deal with the Genji because of the turret.
Right, but does that affect you that much?
No.
Right. It's not that the things that you're saying are not important. We just have to be realistic. You've got 5 seconds. You know what I'm saying? We've been thinking about this already for 34 at 5. So it's like it's damage boosted Sojourn. And maybe I'll be thinking about, I need to stay away from the Ramattra a little bit, or save Sleep Dart for the Ramattra. And that's pretty much it. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much it, right? We can't overcomplicate these things. And this is a good habit for you to get into. Think about the basics of your composition. Think about the basics of the enemy composition, and then just play. We don't want to overcomplicate the read. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's, by the way, a skill that you can practice. Do you ever look at your own replay codes or VOD review yourself ever?
No.
Okay. Maybe something that you could practice is between queues or just once or twice a day, literally just pick a random code and then pull up the enemy composition and give yourself 10 seconds to give yourself like what are the biggest things I need to be aware of, and then skip ahead to like the next code. Give your 10 seconds to just kind of drill that a little bit. That's a fun skill to practice. Okay. So so we talked a little bit about like you establishing your utility with your nade. We talked about Sleep Dart targets. We talked about nano targets. Is there anything else that you'd be thinking about with Ana?
Who could I be anti-ing right now at this moment? Like How can I get like as much value as possible?
Sure. Let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Who should you be anti-ing at this moment?
The Ramattra.
Okay. Why the Ramattra?
Because he was the one that was mostly in my LOS, and I felt like possibly in that moment that was the easiest shot for me to make.
Mm-hmm. I talked about this with the Platinum Ana a few weeks ago, and we talked about like who to anti. Anti-ing the Ramattra because he's the most aggressive and he might die because he gets antied. Right.
Yeah.
But what happens if you were to... These guys aren't really visible for you, but like let's say you were taking this off angle here with this Widowmaker, and you threw an anti and hit the backline. What would happen if you antied 3 or 4 of these people? Would they be killable, really?
Super killable.
Okay. By who?
The Widow and me.
Okay. Let's say that they weren't killable. Let's say that they were in a position to where you couldn't follow up on them. Would this anti be worth it?
I would think so.
You don't think so, or you do think so?
I do think so.
You do think so. Why?
Because at that point they know that they're anti. They don't have a Kiri to cleanse them, so they have to back off for a bit.
And why is that a bad thing? You see?
Because the Ramattra, he wouldn't have anybody to help him.
Correct. So it's all about either direct kill threat or indirect kill threat, and seeing what you can do with that. Now, right now, you don't really have an LOS into this backline, but what we just discussed is a really important thing to keep in mind with Ana. So let's see what we got. That's unfortunate. So do you see what you're doing right here? This is why we talk about return on investment, right? You healed your Orisa when she was basically already full, and now you're shooting a Ramattra when he's in Nemesis form with 1 trillion armor. Now, I'm glad that you're doing things right now. You should be doing things. However, I'm a little bit concerned. Now, I assume you're probably going to Sleep Dart this Ramattra, and it'll be helpful and so on. But let me ask you a question. Is there anything else that you could be doing right now that would help your team more?
There's a Torb right there.
Right, and the funny thing here too is right here, you should be shooting turret, right? Because that turret's going to do a lot more damage to your team than your little tiny bit of chip healing to your Orisa is going to do, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we have to be careful. You got to be able to keep your head on a swivel, right? You got to be able to always be thinking, what's the most valuable thing I can be doing for my team right now? So I assume that Sleep Dart hits. That's good. That's going to get him blocking. We don't like that nade. Because, do you see what you could be nading right now?
I could be nading the Orisa to give her some burst healing.
Right. I understand that it's not the longest cooldown in the game, but there is no rush. If you do not find an opportunity now, you will find it in 2 seconds. And sure enough, here it is, right? Okay. Because I know what you were doing with nade. You wanted to offensively nade their backline. Totally cool with that. But it was a really, really hard setup for it. You rushed it, you missed it, and your Orisa almost died for it. Same thing here. I'm being very nitpicky because this nade is, I'm going to be honest with you, this nade is not bad. This nade is obviously not bad. It hits the tank line, right? But why rush, right? Why rush? Watch this. Do you think there's going to be a better nade opportunity in 1 second? Do you see this? I mean, can you see anything? It's typical Overwatch. It's a complete blur, right? Right? Yeah. If that Ramattra walks through this choke, what's going to happen?
I mean, his team will be pushing up with him.
Right, and then what's going to happen to your Bionade?
They also get hit by the
right, right. Or even if it just hits the Ramatra's in a position to where he can no longer disengage and he dies. Whereas now,
he can't disengage.
Right. There's no rush. There's no rush. I am of the opinion that if you are not looking for Bionade value every fight, you are not playing Ana correctly. And usually that means offensive value. Usually offensive value is better. I'm all for the aggressive nades. However, it's the difference of 1 second that can triple the value of your biotic grenade, which means it's just not worth spamming it. Make sense? So we need to find the difference between prioritizing biotic grenade over everything else, which you should be doing, versus just using it for the sake of using it, which we should not be using. And like even here, I respect the fact that you're healing Orisa, right? Yeah. Probably worth it. But we have to be very careful about tunneling again, because let me ask you a question. Is there something else on the battlefield that you should be doing instead?
Currently, this
is a hard one. Is there anything behind you?
Maybe checking my flank.
Maybe you check your flank, okay? Maybe you don't check your flank. Maybe instead, let me move my camera here. Ready? You see this?
Yeah.
Heal this person. Maybe you can take a couple pot shots here. You probably didn't even know that this was happening.
Yeah, and then right? Television did.
Right,
sure.
and let me ask you a question. If you lose or win this fight, where is the losing and winning going to occur? Is it going to occur right here with your Orisa disengaging at full HP?
With the with our DPS.
It's gonna happen here, right? If this Torb peaks and hits a headshot, your Widow dies, or this Widow hits the shot here, you're able to break turret and force Torb to run all the way back to his team. That is massive, right? But you're not. But that's the thing with Overwatch. It's so subtle, right? And if you're not able to, I guess, keep your head pay attention to what's going on around you, you're going to miss opportunities. And this is why we talked so aggressively about your priorities with a double main heal, because if you are still thinking I heal main tank, I Ana player, right? And you're not considering Orisa's got sustain, Orisa's full HP, Bap is with her healing her as well. We need to be looking around us more. Then you're gonna mess up. And we've seen both that and the lack of Bionade value really hurting you. And right now, do you see how you're tunneling again?
Yeah.
Right. You're so focused on healing your Widowmaker right now, even though she's now pretty much safe. Do you know what's happening to your right now?
It's probably she's struggling a little bit.
Right. Well, maybe not even that. This is a huge Bionade opportunity. You see this? But the thing is you were like, maybe my Orisa's struggling. I mean, maybe you're right. We didn't know. You didn't look. So could you have helped your Genji here? Nah, he's dead. The guy's dead. It's over. Nothing you could do about that. We can't worry about that. But it's more about what could have been elsewhere. I mean, that's just unfortunate. You just missed the sleep. The nade was fine. You just missed the sleep. Oops. Okay. By the way, welcome to the replay code reviewer. That noise is extremely annoying. I apologize.
That's all good.
Probably just stay in spawn here, to be honest. Nice. But this is the. Can I be honest with you? This is what I'm talking about, right? Look at your Orisa right here. It is important that you keep your Orisa up, right? Of course.
Yeah.
But you look at your Orisa, you see that she's full HP. Where's the biggest return on your investment on your screen right now? If we zoom forward with a stupid visual clutter, where's your biggest return on investment? Is it shooting the Ramattra?
No, the Sojourn.
It's shooting the Sojourn, because if the Sojourn gets shot once, she either dies or she has to back away. And if she backs away, she's not doing damage to Orisa. If she's not doing your damage to Orisa, then your Orisa's healthy. And so your job as a support is to protect your Orisa. And shooting the Sojourn once counts as much as 2 or even 3 heals on your Orisa. You kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it certainly does more than shooting a Ramattra, right? So this is what we're talking about. And look at what happens. You hit 1 shot on the damage boosted Sojourn, and she dies. Now, you didn't know that was going to happen, but even if the Sojourn doesn't die, that still buys your team a lot of space. You support your team. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And that's where it's like, you have to be very careful as Ana, because you can do so many things at any point in time. Like right now, you could be bionading, you could be shooting shield, you could be healing your Orisa. So the danger is that not that you're not doing nothing, but that you're doing the least valuable thing, the least amount of pressure. And let me ask you a question right now. What's this nade gonna do?
Hit the shield.
It's gonna hit the shield, right? And so what's the problem here? Is it forgetting that Ramattra has a shield? Probably. But it might also just be that we just rushed things just a little bit, right? Take a second.
Yeah.
You know? But I think mostly you just forgot that Ramattra had a shield. I think that was mostly it, you know? Alright, gonna Nano Blade. Love it. Looks good. You see it with the nade here?
Yeah, there was nothing there to...
Because you're like, gotta get it. You know, it's like you see red and you're just like, throw it, throw it, But I mean, look, it's a disaster, Like you needed to nade yourself or nade this guy and like, nice sleep, but, oh no!
I think I shot the Ramattra.
That's actually a little bit unlucky. That hitbox is crazy. Let me look at this.
Yeah, I thought I was trying to heal I was healing the bat.
Dude, this is the one time where Ramattra's massive hitbox does some favors. Look at this guy. He's falling like, look at this. He doesn't even fall asleep. He just like jumps in the air, just like a plyometric before he falls asleep.
With his arms folded.
Yeah, look at that. His arms like, you like shot like up here and it still hit him. Wow, that's crazy. Well. We're good. See, it was a calculation to let him stay alive longer in that ult so that you guys build more ult charge off of it. Yeah, see? I knew what you're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
It was a plan all along, alright? Alright. That being said, I will point out one little micro detail. You generally don't have to memorize the enemy composition with what you're doing, but it's the same thing as Widowmaker. You cannot forget that they're on Widowmaker. When they have Ramattra ult as an Ana player, you cannot forget that they have Ramattra ult. I'm not usually the one to say that you have to ult track everything, but you cannot forget Ramattra ult because you're a hero with a cooldown. It's like, obviously, it's going to be woken up half the time, but you will literally carry fights by just having Sleep Bear when he has Ramattra ult. I'm sure you figured that out by now, but just a gentle reminder that please sleep that guy. It is fight winning. We knew that was coming.
Yeah, I'm very trigger happy with the grenade.
Right. Obviously, you miss it, but again, here, like, when would be the better nade? Then or now?
Definitely now.
Right. Even I mean, the backline is really not making themselves accessible, are they? Like, this is not. I don't know what you nade here, Moira. No, but if you just nade the Ramattra right now, look at this guy's positioning. Right, as compared to where he was here. There's no disengage location, at least not a perfectly safe one. So right here, much better value. Nice. Orisa's in. Nice. I mean, that one felt like punishable, right? Just didn't quite work out. But you know what? It was, the idea was good, right?
Yeah.
We don't judge results, we judge intentions. Because intentions in the long run lead to good outcomes. Okay, so okay. I mean, I like this. This is what was missing the first fight or the second fight. You see crit on your screen and you immediately respond. Now, that should be what we want, right? Now, obviously the crit thing definitely makes it easier for you to respond because it's like a big red flag, but this is good, right? This is good. And then you're like, oh shoot, we're in. I'm in. Probably would sleep that first and also chill. He cannot one-shot you. You're fine. Relax. This is, I mean, I mean, be honest with me. This is not an accurate representation of your mechanics. Right here. Watch.
You need this.
Right? That's not, that's,
okay.
you're better than that. I know you're better than that. And you know you're better than that. And even if you could be like, oh, well, he juked me. Yeah, well, that's what they're going to do. He's still the size of a Mack truck. You know, elephants don't juke, okay? So they plod. So, yeah. Run. Stop shooting him. Run. You ever see those horror movies? You're like, what are you doing? Get out of there. Now we know. You're one of those guys. You're that guy that was screaming at the television screen now. So, okay. Yeah. All right. Start of the fight was promising, but you lied to us. You promised and didn't deliver. Exactly. Wow.
Yeah, that threw me off. I was like, where do I go?
Run. Honestly, I think you could have probably done a little hurdle and just ran to spawn. But you know what? I'll cut you some slack. I will say it's pretty funny, the deer in headlights thing again. Let's just enjoy this. Like, I normally, I would be nice here, but I'm not going to be.
It's all good. Yeah.
Look. You're just, what? You're not even. What are you aiming at?
I'm like, what do I do?
The funny thing is,
coomed everywhere.
Oh my gosh! All right, that's funny. Okay, yeah. Wait, do you guys lose this? Oh no! All right. So what are you seeing so far? Let's. We don't have to lock anything just yet. But what are some insinuations in your gameplay that are kind of poking their head up?
Definitely not taking the time to use anti the proper way. I feel like you said, like taking those like split seconds or like a second or 2 seconds after like you're seeing people visibly on the screen could be helpful, as opposed to just like chucking it. Right. I see with the Ramattra, like I took a second to think to myself like what I could be doing more of. But I think I tunneled in on like an idea and not executing, as opposed to just like running away. Mm-hmm. Especially since like obviously when you're turned away from the opponent, you typically run faster than if you're facing them and running backwards. So
yes, you do.
I would say also just not being a bit more aware of my surroundings. Mm-hmm. I think that like the BAP was also focusing healing the Orisa like I was. So our DPS weren't getting enough support throughout that first round as well.
Right. Let me do my favorite little thing here and whip out Microsoft Paint one more time here. Because this is why we talked about the double main support thing. When you're on a BAP here, okay? Your whole concept is that because you guys have so much healing here, your Orisa, if we pick a color for Orisa here, she's not going to need as much support, and everything comes back to attention, where you put attention to. Because if you put attention onto something, whether it's how you're using your biotic nade or who you're shooting or who you're looking at or where you're positioning, it's going to get better. If you put attention to doing proper push-up form or proper squat form or making your bed or cooking dishes or communicating clearly or writing your homework, you're gonna do it better than if you just kind of autopiloted on it. So when we put attention on our Orisa is gonna be well healed, right? Nice job. Yeah. However, as we already said, that you guys don't need to give your full attention onto your Orisa, because first off, it's an Orisa, and second off, you're playing on a BAP. Now, let's say this is on a Zen, right? Different story, right? Zen is going to be putting his attention elsewhere, and you are going to need to heal your Orisa more because she's going to need the attention, right? So then this goes back to what you were saying. Your DPS weren't getting the help and the support that they needed. Okay, so we're playing Genji and Widowmaker, and heck, even the enemy Torb was on the flank, right? So let me ask you a question. Did the Orisa need your attention as much as you were giving it?
No.
No. So then that opens up your attention to put attention where?
Towards the Genji.
Towards the Genji.
Towards the Widow.
Towards the Widow. Really both, right? So it's both. And then not just that, but also to Torbjorn and to, where's that flanking Moira, right? And is that Ramattra trying to sneak up on me or and so on? You kind of see what I'm saying? So it opens up attention. And this is why attention is so important, because it's what allows you to actually play properly, because you know when and where I can afford to do other things. If you're playing on a Lucio, and you are playing with a Winston, right? You're probably going to spend a lot of time looking at your Winston. Why?
because he's going into the back line or into like the middle diving. Yeah.
Right, and he doesn't have as much healing support. He needs your attention. So if you get, I still want you to deal with flankers and to help your DPS. But if, pardon me, if I cut you a little bit more slack, if one of your flankers doesn't get healing immediately when you're pocketing your Winston, you kind of see what I'm saying. But when you're playing on a BAP and you're playing with an Orisa, you don't get the same level of forgiveness by putting all of your attention to the tank because it's just not necessary. So what you need to do is, this is why looking at your composition and looking at the enemy composition is so important, is you need to actually think about what demands my attention. Am I playing with a Roadhog? Does my tank need a lot of healing? Do we have another support that can help with the healing? Is my DPS going to benefit a lot from getting ranged pocket from an Ana? Is the enemy backline really fragile and demand attention because if I nade them, they die instantly? Are they on Tracer? And if I forget about Tracer, is she going to kill me? Remember we were talking about Tracer and Widow, right? If they're on Widowmaker, guess what? You can't just pocket your tank the entire time, turn your brain off. You always have to consider this enemy Widowmaker, so she gets at least part of your attention, right? Or what if they're on Tracer or Sombra, right? If you forget that they exist, you're going to die. So maybe you don't pocket your tank, your Winston, as well as you need to. Because if you do and you autopilot and just pocket Winston, then you die to Tracer Sombra, you die to Widowmaker. So what you do as an Ana player is almost always going to be juggling or a prioritization of where you put your attention, and your composition, the enemy composition, is the first thing that comes to mind when we talk about dictating where that attention is placed. Does that make sense?
Yep, I'm right.
Okay, and I know that sounds like super like complicated, but like when you actually get in game, it's really not that complicated. Like right now, like let's look right now. So look at your composition. Where's your tension on your team?
Currently, I see that we have Widow switch to Cass, considering, I guess, because of the map, which is probably a little bit easier. We now have a Kiri, so can, like, I guess, deal things with like cleanse and whatnot too.
So respectfully, there's too many webs going on right now. Too many little details. Is there any person on your team that's going to demand constant babysitting?
Probably just the Cass and the Genji.
Yeah. I don't think anybody's going to need a lot of babysitting as much, right? You have two main healers with two ranged heals and running a tank that's not going to need healing all the time. Okay, great. Look at the enemy composition. Is there anything on the enemy composition that really demands your attention?
I would say the Echo and the Sim.
Okay. Why do you need to give Sim attention? How does Sim affect you directly?
Because she's probably going to set up a bunker in the point.
Okay. So how does that affect you?
Oh, directly? No, that's a good call.
You see what I'm saying? It's just not important enough. You only have so much attention, so it's just not important enough. The Echo, however, is a direct threat to you.
Because she can just like bypass like most of our line and just like go in the sky and just like assassinate.
She's gonna sneak up, and if she's good, she's gonna sneak up and assassinate you. That's what she's gonna try and do. So if you forget that she exists, she's gonna kill you. Now, outside of that, I don't know. Maybe you could put attention on trying to sleep that Reinhardt. Maybe I don't know. This is a pretty easy composition for you to play into. You could open up your attention to just shoot what you shoot. You know what I'm saying? Your main tank doesn't demand a lot of support. There's not a lot of direct threats onto you outside of that Echo. So just play the game. However, if they roll out in Tracer or Widowmaker or Winston or Wrecking Ball, or your tank is rolling out in Lucio and you have to main support your Orisa, or the only thing I'd say you have to put attention at, ironically, or not ironically, but interestingly enough, is that you need to make sure that you nano your Genji. But outside of that, this is a pretty free game. Last round, however, was not so free. Remember Ramattra ult, right?
Yeah,
so there was a little bit more of a responsibility. So let's see what happens here. Now, let me ask you a question. Let's think about the intentions of this nade. Are they in a position to get punished by Bionade? Excuse me.
They're not.
Okay. So not the greatest. Now, let me ask you a question. If they're not in a position to get punished, is this Bionade useless?
I think for the intention of making them back off, that was what I was trying to go for.
Sure.
But
okay.
It probably wasn't like as much value as I can get, right?
Okay, probably not. Yeah, I would agree with that. Probably not the most valuable Bionade, even if it does make them back off a little bit. Maybe it's not the best use of the nade. Okay, so let's explore with that though. Let's say that nade is worth it if you can make them back off. Okay, Who is this nade aimed at?
It was named at the Reinhardt.
Okay.
I saw there was like a few of them, so I just threw it and hoped that it would hit a few people.
You see the problem with that?
I was hoping, yeah.
Right, right. You just saw it and, like, you know, sitting up with a prayer. We don't
Yeah,
we don't do that here. Okay? If you're gonna nade this, I want this very specifically naded and aimed right behind the Reinhardt so that it also hits the Moira. Right? Right? And that's not unreasonable. Not for somebody of your mechanical level, right? You're not bronze, silver, gold, or plat. You're not even diamond. So don't just hit the Reinhardt, right? The fact that this hits the Moira is an unbelievable stroke of luck, right? Look at your crosshair here. Look at how you throw the nade. How much effort did you put into this nade?
Not much.
Right? Right? And so even though the result is theoretically close enough to what we wanted, I don't care. You screwed up. There was not near enough intention put with the intention of the nade. So the idea of the nade was fine, but the actual execution of the intention was lazy.
Straight trash.
Lazy, right? So I have no problem with you using nade to make them back off. Okay, you had a good reasoning for it. Is it the best use? Like you said, I don't know, but it's good enough for me.
But it was lucky.
But not the way you did it. But not the way you did it, right? All right. Okay. Okay. Nice. When you are, do you see how you almost like relaxed here? It's like, you know it's Moira, so you're like, she's not going to kill me fast, so I'm just gonna chill, read her strafe pattern, and nail her. And look what happens. Look at you. I could see you thinking. And you're like, and there's the strafe, right? She's done. Yep. She's cooked, right? That's it. Do that with more sleeps, please. I mean, obviously, if we're talking nanoblade in your face, right? There's a different kind of a risk factor here, but this is good. This is good.
Gotcha. So just like chill out and just like
when you can, and what we want to do is we want to speed up that chill out process, right? But you're gonna have to do that by consciously making yourself think, you know, but even just for a second longer, right? Think back to the Ramattra in the first round, right? How, right? There's a big difference between that. We're talking about a hero that has a quarter of his hitbox, and somehow you hit that one, but you didn't hit that one, or you hit this one, but you didn't hit that one. Okay. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What's the problem here?
We are pushed up without a tank.
Okay. I would go as far to say you're not just pushed up without a tank, but even if your tank gets here soon, is this really where you want to be? What's your purpose as Ana?
To provide support, really not be on the point.
Okay, right. So are you going to be able to land big baronades from where you are right now?
Currently, no.
Or snipe enemy DPS?
No.
Or avoid that, or track where that Echo Mercy is?
Definitely not.
Okay, so where should you be? So it's a problem of safety, but it's also a problem of offensive pressure at the same time. Do you see that? So where should you be?
Should I be on the right side?
Yeah, I think so. I think play up here. This has to be safer. Has to be safer. Better vision, better scouting, better cover, a little bit further away from that stupid fat Reinhardt. And look at that. Look at the nade opportunities that you could land here, right? Or if you just wait until they walk onto point, right? The right access to backline, right? Has to be better. Has to be better. Do you see your vision right now?
Yeah, it's horrible. I can't see anything.
It's horrible.
Only my team.
It's horrible. And ironically, not ironically, but interestingly enough, what side of the map becomes a problem for you guys?
The right side.
The right side of the map. Now, could you contest all of them at the same time? No. But if you need to, start here and look for an opportunity to rotate away if they do clear you out. And what's most likely going to happen is your team's going to come out here and help you. But this is problematic. That nano is fine. That sleep is great. That's okay. The sleep is good enough to get the kill. That's all we needed. Well done. So your kit use was good. Positioning was atrocious. Nice shots. Nice shot. Okay, let's keep watching. Sojourn. Uh-oh. Mercy. Uh-oh.
Immediately.
Right? So you can hold this position again, but if he's got charged shot, you need to hide. You need to not peek, right? What if they were on Widowmaker? Because that was something that we haven't really talked enough about, I don't think. So what would you do if they were on Widowmaker? Where would you go?
But I would still hold the right side because I still have that elephant to just like kind of hide me.
Okay. And what if she peeks out co-side and you can't hold here anywhere? Where would you go?
Rotate right back behind the team where the stairs are.
Yeah, and then where? Because we still have the same problems here, right?
Left side, relative to my team.
Yeah. What about this? You see?
Yeah.
There are options out there, right? And this is again not like the memorization of ML7 best positions in the map, although that is a good start. It's about just think for a second. You know, remember we talked about with attention? We could apply that concept to everything, not just who you're shooting and who you're nading, like you're initially talking about, but also about how to position, right? And that's how improvement works. All of my reviews come back to where we want to put your attention onto. And obviously, you can't do all of that at the same time. But what we're going to do is we're going to give you a pretty long list, and so we'll give you stuff to pay attention to for a long time.
And obviously, as we continue to like play, we'll just like be more. It'll become more natural.
Right. You're right. Exactly. What natural is autopilot. We want to make everything that you do become an enhanced autopilot. Right.
Good habits.
Right. Good habits. Exactly. But obviously, to build autopilot requires attention. Okay. Your sim wall's better. Now, would you nade this fortified Orisa, by the way?
For me, no.
Yes. Okay. Good. I see that too often, so I just want to make sure. So then now if I see it, I can yell.
Yeah, I mean, if I do, like, I wouldn't be surprised, but like, I would say no right now.
Right. Okay. Oh, look at the mechanics. Nicely done. This nade is gonna be massive. Oh no, she body blocked it. You know what? I don't care. Brilliantly aimed and executed nade here. Brilliantly done. That was so close to phenomenal. And this is why attention is important. If now you're a little bit slow here, I will say. But if you're not faster on the draw here, your Cassidy dies. Now your Symmetra's a little dense and dies, but you can't save her. But this is good. Cover. Oh, I can smell it. I can smell it. If you get it past this fortified Orisa, I'm going to be absolutely delighted. Oh. Come on. When it's like the Titanic song, you know.
I'm actually sweating right now.
Oh, no! You know what? Okay, here. Why did it not hit? Do you see?
The trajectory was a little too far back.
A little too far back, and also the enemy team backs off. You know what I'm saying? So it's a little bit unlucky. That's okay. They backed off at like the worst time. However, you know what? Good job. You know what? Screw it. Good job. I just a little bit better mechanically, but I'm really impressed. That was good.
You feel like they probably learned from their first time they got anti?
Yeah. I guess so.
Yep.
You're better than that. You showed me a great anti. You played great positioning on here, which meant that you dodged the Orisa ult entirely. If you put this, I'm telling you, if you put this Orisa to sleep, the fight's over. It's probably still over, but that's because this Orisa's not me. This Orisa's me. This fight's over because I'm gonna laser your head. I'm the greatest. I was one tricking Orisa in rank before it was cool. You know.
Overwatch 1?
Well, not that early. Let's just say season 1, okay? I was like, oh my god. So I was like, you know, I gotta figure out how to play this hero because I'm gonna have to coach this hero and she's entirely different. So I just one-tricked her for like, I don't know, it wasn't that many, it was like 30, 40 games, you know? And I figured out a lot of nuance to her, and then obviously she got busted in stage 2, and people were like, why are you playing Orisa? I'm like, well, I've been playing this Orisa for a while. Now I'm on like Ramattra. I hate Ramattra, I'm not gonna lie. Ramattra's not fun to play. I don't know what people are talking about. Anyway, really? I don't enjoy him. I find his abilities kind of, his guns just don't seem super fun to me. But anyway, what do you think about that round? Especially put in context of what we saw in round 1. Do we add anything? Do we adjust anything? Do we confirm anything?
I think we did a little bit. We felt a little bit more comfortable with the team composition that we were going against.
Yeah.
I don't feel like people were in my face as much. I think that one of my biggest problems is that like I do panic.
Yeah.
When I panic, I just start like spraying and praying. And I think in this one I was a little bit more comfortable. I feel like
sure.
I was able to kind of just like pop off a little bit more, use my brain to like think about what the next play is.
Right. Now let me ask you a question. What was the first thing we talked about when we were talking about attention and we looked at the enemy composition? What did we say?
We saw that the first person that can actually get to me was the Echo.
Right. But there wasn't a lot of threats, right? There weren't even the Echo is not a tracer, right? So you had, respectfully, a real easy time, okay?
Yeah.
And this is how it works, okay? When they pick heroes like Echo and Mercy and Symmetra, your tank cannot carry, okay? Your tank can carry by just simply trying to not take damage and surviving. It is on you to pop off because there's a lot less pressure on you, right? When you're playing versus a Tracer or a Sombra or whatever, or a Winston, how do you think your Orisa feels? Is your Orisa under any pressure?
No.
No, she's totally fine. So then who's impetus or who's expected to quote unquote carry?
The Orisa.
Now, I'm being very sloppy with my the words I'm using, okay? With my verbiage. Because how could you carry versus a Tracer Sombra Winston composition as Ana?
I feel like it's very difficult. Like you have to be able to obviously provide as much support as you possibly can to your tank or people that are able to contest them.
Are you expected to permanate the enemy backline and kill 6?
No.
How do you carry as Ana then into that composition?
I feel like in this current one that we're looking at right now is what you're saying?
Well, just any dive comp, let's just say. A dive composition. Something that directly threatens you. How do you carry?
I would say staying alive.
Yeah, right. You see that? Okay. There's an expectation that you are going to use your cooldowns and your positioning and your shots to be able to keep yourself alive, right? That's how you carry. And so when there's less pressure on you, we want more offensive value. When there is more pressure on you, we want more defensive value. Do you kind of see what I'm saying? And so that goes back to our attention, right? When you're playing versus a Tracer Sombra, your attention should be on tracking them, dealing with them, using your cooldowns accordingly. But if you're going up against a composition like we just played, and let's say you didn't land a single impactful anti-nade or a single impactful sleep dart and landed no impactful shots, and then complain that, oh, my tank just kept dying over and over and over again, you're an idiot, right? You had no pressure and you didn't get anything offensively done. And that's what we see a lot of lower rank and mid rank Anas do, right? They don't do anything offensive when they're not put under any pressure and then complain that their teammates are bad. Well, your tank was playing into an Echo Mercy Symmetra. That's rough. That's rough. And so that's why stuff. Right. So that's why we have to talk about this kind of thing here. Now, this composition, I'm not really sure, right? It's gonna be that Tracer's tricky. So let's see what we got.
Oh, this one's extremely sloppy. So
nice.
You'll have a lot of content to go.
I love the double take there. Like, wait, what? Oh. Now let me ask you a question. Do you think that your Orisa is going to need perma pocket 24/7?
Currently, I was trying to go towards her. So during this game, I was thinking yes, like go pocket her now because she's already in the front lines. I'm assuming right now the answer is no, after what we've been talking about.
Right. I mean, they're on Tracer, okay? And you can see what the pharmacy is shooting at right now. Who is she shooting at?
She's shooting at the back line.
You! A Reinhardt is the least of your concern for your Orisa. And this is where your knowledge should be self-preservation. And you're not going to do that. Now, we could talk about, oh, you should have naded. Okay, you know what? I don't care about whether you rotate, you nade yourself, or you don't rotate and you stay back here. There's options here. You see, right? There's no like exactly one right or wrong answer. But the entire mentality needs to be, I'm under direct threat. My goal is to survive and defend myself. And then when I'm not under direct threat, my goal is to kill and assassinate. And so you don't need to know how to play versus a pharmacy tracer. You don't need to memorize how to play. You just need to understand I'm under pressure right now. Therefore, my process, my decision making is to survive. Like right now, survive. Nade yourself, run back, grab the mega, sit back here, play mechanically 1v1 the tracer, use your sleep dart, anything. The longer you could bait their attention, the more likely that, yes, even if you die, your team will easily win this trade over here because this Reinhardt's not getting help. You see that?
Yeah.
I know that's not the answer that you're looking for. Like, I want to be with my team to get help, but sometimes that's not the case. Like, okay, if you do want to get with your team to be with help, then you would nade yourself, tuck in here, right? Where your team can help you more. So it doesn't matter what decision you make. It's just all done with the mentality of self-preservation at this point. And that's a big shift from last round, isn't it? Right? It's a big shift. It's a big shift, right? And obviously the composition definitely matters. But like, what if the enemy on the previous round was running, the Symmetra was TP bombing you? What if the Echo Mercy was permanently looking to flank you, right? That would be that's not unrealistic to expect, right?
Not at all.
So obviously we need to look at composition, but we have to really just look at what the enemy team is putting attention onto, and then respond accordingly. I know what you're doing, but it's just so poorly executed.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And I wonder how much of that is to do with just a little bit of panic. That's something I think that we definitely should be improving on. What do you think? Is it? I mean, you played this game, right? So you tell me.
Definitely panic. I think that I wanted to kind of just peek it real quick, throw an anti onto my Orisa to get some quick kills, and then also hit the enemy Rein. But it was poorly executed.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Okay, they're shooting you again. Killing me. I mean, we just didn't hit our cooldowns. We did an awkward rotate. We didn't respond when the enemy Pharah started to shoot us. We missed a few shots in the Pharah. It's not that complicated, we don't have to sit here and overanalyze it, but and I will say that it is really hard to rotate on this point. It is definitely a challenge. But okay. So let's wrap this up. What are your points of improvement?
So points of improvement for sure. So I wrote a couple of these things down. Less pressure equals more offensive value. More pressure on you equals more defensive value. So playing, not being afraid to obviously take the 1v1, but put more of a prioritization on what is the immediate threat. So kind of like you were saying, hide, play around cover. There's a health pack right there. Play that to your advantage. And that also takes kind of attention from the Tracer from the main fight to me, and then our team could potentially win that fight, especially with the pharmacy that are also aiming at me too.
Right.
Also, just juggling where you prioritize your attention and what your comp and the team comp is. Just trying to be more understanding on what is currently a direct threat to you. Not just worrying about let's say if they're doing a bunker comp, what in that bunker comp is trying to actually affect you. And then just focusing on your own gameplay. Stop playing with high tilt. Focus on yourself. Be more consistent. Be the most consistent thing in all of your games because you can't control what other people are going to be doing in your team fights. Let's see what else I wrote. A couple other things too, after 4 hours, are you focusing? Recommend put enough effort and focus for 2 to 3 hours, and then have fun afterwards. Focus on some more goals in terms of what you're trying to do in your games. I guess my question with that too is do you recommend when I'm not putting as much effort? When I'm trying to play more for fun, maybe take those times that I'm playing for fun and try to focus on other things that I could be doing more of. Or do you mean more in the try hard sense, when I'm focusing hard on those 2-3 hours?
When you're try harding on any one of the things that we've just written down. Look at what your Discord or your notes, right? I gave you a couple of summations, right? So that when you're practicing, when you're try harding, you're not trying to win. You're trying to practice one of those things. Okay. That's try hard practice. It's like a drill, like a sport or anything else. Right? That's your drill. You're treating ranked like a drill. Ranked is a drill where I practice paying attention to the enemy composition. Or today I'm going to practice on not rushing my cooldowns. Or today I'm not going to I'm going to focus on where I'm putting my attention. Right. That's what it's a drill. And then when that's done, you're just playing for fun. You're not playing to improve at all. You're just playing for fun. Now, whether you could do that in ranked, I don't know, because sometimes it's hard to play for fun in ranked when you know that your SR is going up or down. So maybe that's where you'd off roll, maybe that's where you quick play, or maybe where you just stop, do something else. There's nothing wrong with that. More is not always better. So you're gonna have to you have to figure out for yourself what actually works for me, or what actually works for you. Excuse me.
Got you. And I would say that also not panicking as much when it comes to being under direct threat, right?
Yeah.
Potentially being killed. Trying to be a little bit more calm when landing shots because obviously I play way better when I'm being able to be a little bit more level-headed.
Right. We could see the night and day difference when you were under pressure, when you were not under pressure, when it came to mechanics. Especially with those sleep darts and nades. Just chill. You're gonna be okay. And what might happen is you might chill too much and then you might start dying, and it's that's okay. Then speed it up a little bit more, just a little bit more. But definitely with the cooldowns, just take a quick second. Okay. Any questions?
I think you gave me a lot of good content to go over in terms of just like the workshop codes, just like a good like mental insight on like what I could be doing, and I think that kind of helps me as well because I think sometimes I put too much like time and focus into this game, and then it's like, all right, like I'm just seeing a bunch of losses and losses and
Right.
losses on those losing streaks as opposed to like doing to do something else.
Right.
And then just like it felt good knowing that like there are other flex support players that have a lower sensitivity than me, or like they
Yeah.
have the same. Um, and then just focusing on my own gameplay. I think that kind of gives, like you said, like not trying to overanalyze, which I think has always been a big
Yep.
issue
Yep.
in general.
Yep.
So I think being able to kind of just like keep it simple and think to myself, all right, what's a direct threat to me? What is in my control almost?
Exactly. And remember, while we did talk about a lot of things, and your notes are probably rather extensive, when you are practicing, it's just the one thing, right? I don't want you to try and practice all these things at once. It's just the one thing. You remember, we only have so much attention to give, so you have to be very selective about where you put the attention. So if you put attention to not rushing your cooldowns and your positioning is horrible, that's okay. Like really, truly, that is absolutely okay. In fact, I expect most players that get coaching from me, most of them do dip just a little bit in rank afterwards for the first week or so. That's totally normal. That's what we want, right? We got to dig up some old habits. We're not playing to win. We're not even playing to play our best. We're playing to improve. We're playing to drill, right? And sometimes that means being comfortable with looking a little bit silly sometimes.
I got you.
Okay.
That makes absolute sense.
If you have any questions, my DMs are always open. The replay code rule for students is if at any time in the next week, month, 2 months, whenever you have another game where like I could use some insight or I need some follow-up feedback, I wasn't sure how to position here, how to play versus this, shoot me the replay code with 3 or 4 timestamps, and I'll get you some written feedback in a couple days. Sound good?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Right.
And then like you want all of like your new like sessions to be done through the website. So like